Today we got an orchid haul. So Andy's orchid nursery is pretty much an orchid nursery, and they do have other stuff, but I think they mainly focus on orchids. And they open every so often to the public for an open house, and this time I went. I had been wanting to go for quite a while, and right when gas prices shot up, I was like, let me drive 3 hours to go see some orchids and spend more money over there. Unfortunately, I didn't film while I was there because I felt a little bit overwhelmed because they literally have 700,000 plants. And it was very confined, and my camera's kind of big, so I just decided to not film. But if you do want to see a tour of that place, because it's amazing, it's gorgeous, I saw Patrick there, so I'm gonna have his video linked down below, and if you want to check it out, go ahead and do so. Okay, anyways, let's get into the video. So I'm gonna start with my favorite orchid that I got, which is this little baby right here. She is so cute. She is literally the teeniest orchid ever. They are so like put together that they all have QR codes, which shows you their care that they need and everything. That is super helpful because I had no idea what was going on the whole entire time. But I absolutely love this orchid. It's a Holcoglossum, and it was $40. It is literally the cutest orchid I've ever seen, and I love how small it is because I just hang this in my cabinet, and I'm gonna show you where I have it hanged because it's so cute, and it's with my other hanging orchid. I also love the tiny little leaves. They're such a cute, they're like kind of sharp. They kind of remind me of a cylindrica snake plant, which I think is really cool. I absolutely adore it, and I'm so excited that I found it. Yeah, so this is my number one. I'm so happy that I got. And then I have to say there was like no phalaenopsis there, which I found to be really interesting because usually there's like majority of phalaenopsis, but as I keep saying, I felt very overwhelmed and like I had no idea what anything was. So I found like some of the only phalaenopsis, and I bought one. So I have them all soaking in water right now because some of them are bare root, but this is a Doritis, so it's a phalaenopsis, and I love it because of the little leaves on it. They have a little bit of speckling, and if you watch my channel, you know that I love orchids with interesting leaves. So these leaves are super interesting. As you can see, they're very cute, and I am well aware how to care for a phalaenopsis, so I like to kind of slowly branch out to things I don't know. So I'm happy that I got something that I'm already comfortable with and I'm not worried that I'm gonna kill. But this was $32, and I have no idea what the flowers look like, but I will post a picture if it's on the little site where it shows the care and everything. So those are pretty much the only orchids that I got. I know 2 of them, and I really regret not buying more, especially because it was such a long drive, and I don't know, I really want to go again, but that drive really got to me. So I don't know if I will, but I definitely should have bought more. I have found this Hoya linearis, and I've never seen one in person before, I don't think, but it was $35. I felt like that was a good price. I think that this is such a beautiful Hoya, and I was kind of surprised by how it looks in person because I've only seen it in pictures. So it's a lot softer than I thought it would be, and I thought it would be more like a ripsalis. Like ripsalis are not very soft, they're kind of rigid, but this is a real dangly baby. Like I would not be able to do this with a ripsalis. Well, at least the ripsalises that I have. So I'm very surprised at how like light and kind of like sway it is, but it's on a stake, which I don't know how I feel about. There wasn't one that wasn't on a stake, which I probably would have got instead. Not a stake, mounted. It's mounted, okay. I probably would have chosen the non-mounted one, but I was thinking that I could probably propagate it and have a plant and a hanging one, because this thing is getting very long And I don't know, but I love it. This is such a gorgeous plant and I can't believe it took me so long to get one. I felt like it's one of the plants that I thought would become more common. And I guess it has since I found this one for $35, but it's the first one that I've seen. So I'm very excited about it. I am worried about watering it. And yeah, I have a lot of reservations with how to take care of this plant and my skill, my ability to take care of Hoyas, but we'll see how it goes. And then I also have these bare root orchids, which I did not choose out. My boyfriend chose them, and yeah, he went in on these bare root orchids. So I'm gonna be the one who takes care of them, but they're really cheap, and I feel like that's why he was like, I'm a cop. But yeah, I want to take care of them because I know he wants to take care of them, but I also want to take care of them. And I feel like he should just stick to pothos. So yeah, that's how good he is at taking care of plants. So first off, I have here, I don't have the label on it. This one was probably like $7 or $8. So yeah, very low price for the cuttings. I also have these. I have two of the same here. These are Masdevallias, and so what I have heard is that Masdevallias are the hardest orchid to take care of. And at first when you pick them up, I was like, no, you can't take care of those. I can't take care of those. But they're $6 each, and I was thinking that maybe he could get one and I could get one, and we'll see who takes care of one better. But I don't know, I might end up just taking care of both because I'm a control freak. So yeah, these were $6 each. I'm really excited to be able to test taking care of Masdevallias on like such a cheap plant, which even though it's cheap, I'm gonna be really sad if I kill them or one of them. But it's better to lose only $6 than, you know, like 30. And then last but not least is this big mama. I'm not usually a fan of orchids with so much foliage. I'm not sure how big the flowers are gonna be, but I hope that they make it worth, you know, having all of this foliage. So this is a Coellia Bella, and it was $12. So this is the most expensive one. And yeah, I have to say this is my least favorite because of the size, but the leaves, they have like a subtle kind of like gold or yellow, I guess, strips in them, and I think that is so pretty. So yeah, I'm gonna also pot these up right now, so if you want to stay for that, you're very welcome to. Otherwise, that is my orchid haul from Andy's Orchids, and if you're around the area, I highly recommend you check it out. I have never seen so many orchids. There were also like other different plants, like there were some aroids, there were some Hoyas, obviously there were a ton of Ripsalis. If you're around, definitely check them out. Like I drove 3 hours to go see it, and I would do it again, but I might need like a long break before I do it again. So it's definitely worth making the trip if you're gonna do it like at least once, you know, you gotta try at least once. But otherwise, if you're not able to make it out there, I'm gonna have Patrick's video linked down below, like I mentioned earlier, so you can check that out. But all right, let's get into potting. So the first thing that I'll try to do when potting up a new orchid that I've never had any experience with is find videos on YouTube where I can pretty much just copy exactly what they do. So in this example, I watched a Masdevallia repotting video from Brad's Greenhouse and Gardening. So I'll have that video linked down below in case you want to watch it. But this is why I love posting YouTube videos, to hopefully help anyone who is like me. And if I need some reassurance, or if I just want to know something about a plant I don't know anything about, I love watching YouTube videos about it. Anyways, this is the Masdevallia rigens, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it is a Masdevallia orchid. So I am potting up 2 of these. I've researched about them. From what I know is they do not like to dry out, hence the amount of moss being used, and I often let my orchids completely dry out, but for this one I'm gonna have to harness my strength and water it more often than I normally would. Also, it is a cool growing orchid. Specifically this one, I'm not sure. I think it can withstand some warmer temperatures, so I'm hoping that just being in my room is gonna be okay enough for it. I'm not gonna have it near a window or anything because I don't want any excessive heat getting to it. But to pot it up, I'm literally just wrapping up the root ball and then shoving it into the pot because that is what Brad did. I've noticed that a lot of experienced orchid growers, not really for Phalaenopsis, but for other plants, that's how they pot things. And it always stresses me out thinking about doing it that way because I'm worried of, I don't know, breaking some roots. But so far, so good. I don't think any roots have broken. I'm not sure how many roots they're supposed to have in general, so I feel like it's fine. Any little dead roots that I can 100% tell were dead, I did cut off. Otherwise, I left even the questionable ones because just in case they are alive, I want this plant to have as many roots as possible because it's gonna need it. There's definitely gonna be a learning curve with these orchids, but I do really like this potting technique because everything comes out so cleanly and it's very fast and efficient. So I see why experienced people use it. And I'm not adding a top dressing of orchid bark like I normally would because I want to be able to touch the moss and see how dry it is without having a bunch of orchid bark in my way. So this is really going to be one of those plants where I have to feel the medium that it's in order to know if I'm going to water or not. And I'm really hoping to see some root growth soon. Like any little sign of roots is going to be welcome. Next is the Coellia Bella, and for this one I couldn't find anything on how to pot it, so I just essentially used the same mix for the Draculas because it also says that they like to be moist, and this one also seems to be a cool loving orchid. Great. I want to keep it by my south facing window because it needs a lot of light, but south facing windows get very hot in the summer, so I don't know. I'm going to keep it there, but we'll see how it does, and I might have to move it. And I forgot to mention, but I'm using all of the sphagnum moss that was on these orchids because it looked really good. Like, it looked like really good quality sphagnum moss, and I would like to know where Andy gets his sphagnum moss. And this one also had a little bulb split off. One of the Masdevallias also had a little part split off. I have a feeling that neither one of the fallen pieces are gonna survive, but I just decided to pot it with its parent just in case it would survive. I have more faith in this Coellia surviving than the Masdevallia. I feel like that's just gonna yellow and die within, I don't know, like a month, however long it takes to yellow. But just in case, I kept it there. So I'm just hoping it survives, and if you have any tips, please share them with me. I'm also kind of stressed about how I'm going to keep it in my south-facing window since it has so much foliage. It's going to take up a lot of space, and yeah, I hope this orchid grows on me. And like I mentioned before, I hope that the blooms make it worth it. But I staked it very poorly. I'm gonna need to redo that because it's still flopping around everywhere. So we'll see how that goes. And last but not least, we have the Maxillaria cucullata, and this also needs bright light, and it's also a cool grower. It says that it can get 80 degrees Fahrenheit max, which is really low since I do live in Southern California, but I will try my best to keep it from getting too warm. So this is also not going to be kept in a window, and this is supposed to be moist as well. So all of these are pretty much orchids that are not suited for my warm, dry conditions, but it's gonna be fun to try and take care of them.
I think that out of all the orchids that I'm potting, this one needs to be the most wet or needs the most amount of water. So I put it in a container that doesn't have any holes in it. So it just has drainage holes, but I did want a clear container so that I could see the roots growing. And I'm pretty much gonna be treating it like a catasetum, as in the amount of water that it needs. Maybe not as much fertilizer, but I don't know if that's a good idea. But this one was the only one that came actually wrapped in a newspaper, so it does seem like even the packaging helped it to contain more moisture than any of the other ones that I bought. So I couldn't really find anything on this orchid specifically, but there are a ton of videos about the coconut smelling one. I think it's supposed to smell like coconuts or something like that, and that's a very popular Maxillaria. So all of my info I pretty much got from that. And I don't think during this potting I was very specific with my placing of the orchids. Usually I would want to get the new growth in the center and the back bulbs more towards an edge so that the new growth would have space. But I feel like I'm going to be repotting them before that becomes a problem. Since I'm going to be more familiar with the orchid, I'll feel like I can adjust the mix better. But yeah, so far I'm feeling like they'll all be all right.